Okay, I am live. Okay, let's see. Hey guys, thanks for joining. Hello everybody, thanks for joining. My name is Abyssinia. Today we are going to be making herb crusted Branzini. So we are going to wait a bit and we're going to get started shortly. Hey, thanks for joining. YouTubers, we are going to get started shortly. Love it, love it. So if you guys can add to the comments, let me know who is actually going to be cooking with me today and who is going to be just following along. And of course, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to ask. I'm just gonna finish setting up my cameras because I'm working with two cameras right now, so bear with me. Here we go. Hey Peter. So since you're just watching, I definitely want to see this recipe when you make it. I want to see pics. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. We're going to get started shortly. I'm just setting up my camera and getting that in order, so bear with me. But I was saying, so let me know in the comments if you're going to be cooking with me today or if you're just following along. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section and let me know your questions. This herb crusted Bronzino, this is one of my favorite dishes to make. It's very straightforward. The oven does most of the work and it doesn't have much prep time. So this will be a fairly straightforward video. But of course, if you have questions along the way about anything, ask. Please ask. Just a second, guys. Gonna start soon. Okay, so yes, we are about to get started. So the Bronzino, great question. The Bronzino was $18 per pound for the fillet. It's cheaper if you get the whole fish, but then you end up with a lot of waste. So there's that. I ended up spending $16 and I got 4 fillets. So it's a little bit more expensive than salmon, but it's not as expensive as sea bass. And I'm sure there are also options to get the Bronzino frozen. So that might be a bit cheaper. And for everyone watching me on YouTube or Facebook, please, I apologize if there are any delays for my responses to your questions. What we have here is panko breadcrumbs. This is what we'll be using to add the crisp to the Bronzino. This is one of my favorite types of breadcrumbs. Anytime I'm doing something that requires breadcrumbs, I always just go for panko versus the traditional standard breadcrumbs. If you couldn't find panko, or if you don't see panko where you're shopping, that's absolutely fine. You can use either or. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. Okay, so we are going to get started. Let me adjust my camera so you guys can see what I'm working with. So here we have, we're going to use for this recipe, we need some fresh cilantro. And then we also have some fresh parsley. And then we're going to be using some fresh thyme. I love thyme. I use it in almost everything that I'm making. This is the Bronzino, so yeah, this cost me $16.50 and it was almost a pound. It was a little under a pound. And I got four fillets here. A stick of butter, which we will not use the whole thing. And I have some keto breadcrumbs here because my husband is on keto, so he cannot eat the other one. Alright, and then we'll use some salt. This is diamond flake salt. I just put it in this container. Be careful if you're using like a table salt or a finer salt because you might end up over seasoning. So if you are using table salt, just be careful with the amount that you use for seasoning with. First, what we're going to start with is cutting our herbs. Let's get a knife. All right. So I have some parsley here, cilantro. This is cilantro. I'm gonna cut it. These two have already been washed and dried, so of course if you don't have yours washed already, just run it under the cold water to rinse it and then pat it. I'll show you guys. Let me get a paper towel. Okay, so to clean your herbs, you want to just take what you need. and run it under some cold water. Make sure the water is cold, not hot. And then pat it dry with paper towel. It's best if you do this in advance so the herbs don't get like soggy, but this works too. So today we are making herb crusted Branzino. Branzini is plural for Bronzino. It's a type of sea bass. Now that I have my parsley washed, I'm gonna go ahead and chop it. So the recipe that I sent you guys, it has, it's for 2 to 4 servings. No, it's for 2 servings, 2 to 4 pieces of fish. So you'll need about 2 tablespoons of parsley, my scrap bowl. So rough chop 2 tablespoons of parsley. You don't want them to be big and chunky like that. Putting it in a container and separating it. Then I have my cilantro. For my cilantro, I'm just going to keep it intact and cut what I need. About, we won't use all of it, but keep it separated, keep everything separated. Everyone, thanks for joining. So if you are just now joining, please comment, let me know if you are cooking or just following along, watching me cook with plans to make this dish later. Let me know if you have any questions. This is the thyme. For the thyme sprigs, what you want to do is pull them off the leaf, like so. Pull them off the stem. If you leave some stems behind, it's fine. It's not the worst thing as long as it's not like a massive stem like this. If you have some smaller stems like this left over, that's fine. I'm going to add a little bit more thyme here. What is my all-time, someone is asking, what's my all-time favorite dish? Is it the Bronzino dish? So That's a great question, but that's a really hard question to answer because I feel like it's always changing. Right now, it's possibly the Bronzino dish, but I make so many different things that I can't even. I just like to make good food. I like simple food, things that can be made very quickly, or oven-ready things like braised dishes, one-pot dishes, less cleanup. I find myself making a lot of seafood though. Once you have your thyme destemmed, then you want to chop it. All right, this is great. Alright guys, so now that we have the herbs all gathered and separated, I'm going to move on to the fish. For the fish, let me grab a cutting board. So for all of you who are sticklers for the cutting board color, do not come for me. This is a meat cutting board. It is not a fish cutting board. This is my house. I do not have all of that. But one thing's for sure, you do not want to use raw meats on your wooden cutting board. Definitely not. So it would be ideal to have separate cutting board, one for meats and fish, and then a separate one for vegetables. Alright, so let's see what my fish is looking like. This is what we have here. These are the Branzino fillets. Oftentimes when you get them, the fish, it's usually already scaled. The seafood vendor usually scales it. But if you rub your finger or even your knife against the scales, you might find some scales left over. Or you might even have to scale the whole thing yourself. So, what I'm going to do here is just make sure there are no scales remaining because we are leaving the skin on the fish. So see there's some scales that are coming off. You just want to rub your knife against the scale and it'll come off. If you have a scaler, even better. No, I'm not adding garlic to this dish. It's a very light fish, and I feel that garlic would overpower a little bit. But hey, if you like garlic, you could always add some garlic to it. But I would saute the garlic first. I would use fresh garlic, not powdered garlic, not garlic powder. And I would spray the garlic, I would saute the garlic first so it doesn't have like that raw, very strong garlicky taste. Of course, rinse your fish off. Rinse your fish off in some cold water, and then pat it dry. I have some paper towel here. Just pat my fish dry. Okay, so while we're waiting, everyone, thanks for joining. While we are making our Crusted Branzini, we are halfway through the process right now. So what I'm going to do now is preheat my oven, set it to the broiler setting. Some ovens have the broiler underneath. Mine is just right on top, so I'm just going to set the oven to the broiler setting. While that's getting hot and ready to go, grab a sheet tray. And coat it with some parchment paper or aluminum foil, whatever you have available. So pat your fish dry and season it generously with salt. When I say generously with salt, let's see, I don't usually eyeball, but okay, that was about a half a teaspoon of salt just now. And again, this is kosher salt. This is not table salt. This is not a super fine salt. That definitely makes a difference. Lay your fish on your baking sheet. Make sure this side is patted dry. Once you have it patted dry, then you can go ahead and season the other side. I'm just using salt. I don't prefer to cook with, it depends on what I'm making. I would usually just finish it with cracked black pepper. But if you like pepper, go ahead and add it. This is where you would add it. Then we have our herbs. And we need a cold stick of butter. Where did I put that butter? There we go, butter. All right. So this is parsley. I would say the ratios for the herbs, it would be 3 parts parsley and then 1 part of thyme and cilantro. But of course, you can just simply follow the recipe that was provided and you'll be good to go. Parsley's down. Now I'm gonna go over it with some cilantro. Not too much cilantro. And then some thyme. All right. Next up would be adding the butter. No oil. So you could spray just for precaution, extra precaution. You could spray your parchment paper with pan spray, or you could drizzle it with oil. I did not put oil on this. I don't usually put oil, so I hope today's not the day that it sticks. So this butter, it was taken out of the fridge. It's cold. I hope it's still cold. Just grate your butter. See how if it's cold, it'll grate over. And you know what? I skipped a step because the breadcrumbs go first. The butter goes over the breadcrumbs. So let me add the breadcrumbs first. So again, these are panko breadcrumbs. I'm just gonna sprinkle it over. They're not seasoned. This is not seasoned. These are not seasoned breadcrumbs. If you do use seasoned breadcrumbs, then you will want to adjust the salt that you add to the fish. And then also consider whether you're using salted butter or unsalted butter. My butter is unsalted. So that's a good amount of breadcrumbs over the top. Add a little bit more. You want it to coat the entire layer of skin, because that's going to give it the crunch. I'm going to go over it with the butter. I'm sure that looks like a lot of butter, but it's really not. It's like a table, 1 tablespoon of butter. Let's get these breadcrumbs. So this will be my first time making this dish with, like I said, my husband is doing keto right now. I usually do not use these breadcrumbs, but this will be my first time making this dish with these breadcrumbs. It's basically the equivalent of using regular breadcrumbs. So I'll just put them in the bag and smash it. Does anyone have any questions so far? Any questions for me? We're nearing the end. This is going to go in the oven, and it'll take about 7 minutes. It's going to be very quick. All right, butter on this one. Alright, so this is how it looks, guys. These are the regular, this is the, these two in the middle are regular, and these two on the end have the keto breadcrumbs. So I'm going to put them in the oven under the broiler. Alright, so I put them directly under the broiler. That's gonna go for about 7 minutes and it'll be done. And we'll probably eat it with some vegetables, salad, maybe some rice, you know. It could go with potatoes. It could go with, I don't know, whatever you want. What do you guys normally eat fish with? You could do mashed potatoes, you could do pasta, you could do salad. Whatever you like to pair it with, it will go. Does anyone have any questions for me while we wait for the fish to be ready? Also, make sure, since it's on the broiler setting, make sure you keep an eye on it because it goes very fast. And depending on how high it is or how low it is from the broiler, it'll take even less time. So the first time I made this dish, actually, I was doing a pop-up dinner last year around Valentine's Day, and this was one of the menu items. And ever since I made it that day, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I've been making it very often ever since. It goes on my menu for dinner parties. It's definitely a hit. So if you can get it and get it right, you will love it. Let me know your thoughts. If you do actually make this recipe, let me know how it goes. I know Bronzino could be a little bit tricky to find. Oh, what type of fish is this? Great question. So it's Bronzino, which is a sea bass. It can be a little tricky to find. I wouldn't say tricky, but it's not in every supermarket. Like sometimes I find it at Whole Foods, sometimes I don't. I would call the seafood place wherever you're looking before you go there so you don't waste your time. What is skin side? So I did the skin side up because that is where we added the breadcrumbs and the herbs and the butter, and that's what's going to get nice and crispy. So you'll be able to eat it in the oven once it comes out of the oven. This is one of those dishes where you put so much time into making sure the skin is nice and crispy, so when you see your guest or anyone you're cooking for pick around the skin, you're just like, oh my gosh, that's the best part. So definitely, if you're not a person who usually eats skin, try it. because it is really good. For the herbs, I use cilantro, parsley, and thyme. It was, let's say, 2 parts parsley and 1 part cilantro and thyme. You don't want to put too much cilantro, especially because it has a stronger flavor. And parsley is more mild. You can switch up the herbs if you'd like. I've only done it with those 3. I could see rosemary working, but I would use way less rosemary because it has a very strong flavor. Let me check on that. So it's working. It's almost ready. I should have put a timer on. Yeah, so as I was saying, if you can't find Branzino, you could use an alternate type of fish. You could even use chicken cutlets and just make a herb crusted chicken cutlet. But then you have to use you probably have to use egg wash to seal the herbs and everything on top. Do we have any more questions, guys? Thanks for joining, everybody. I'm glad you could make it. The fish is in the oven. It will be out in about 2 minutes or so, and I'll show you guys the final result. If you want the recipe, comment foodie under one of my most recent posts or reels, or you can also send me a DM and I'll respond with the recipe. I want to see pictures, guys. I want to know how it came out. If you have questions while you're making it, I would love to help and answer. It's looking good so far. Let's check. So this is how it looks so far. It's nice and golden brown. The fish is not quite done just yet. I'm gonna keep it in for like another minute. But that's what you're looking for. You want the breadcrumbs to be golden brown, not burnt. And the butter helps with that. That's why you put the butter on top. Because it just soaks into the breadcrumbs, it soaks into the skin, it adds more flavor. Yes, I will definitely do these more often. Thank you guys for joining. Let me know what you'd like to learn how to make, what you want to see next. All right, let's see. All right. What are you serving this with? I am not sure what this will be served with. I'm craving Caesar salad, so I might do Caesar salad. Can I write the herbs? Yes, I will type the herbs. Parsley, cilantro, thyme. And then, of course, DM me for the recipe. So let's show you guys what this is looking like. Here we go here. These are the this one is the keto, and then the two in the middle are regular. I mean, they don't look too different. They look very similar. You definitely do not want to overcook your fish. I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate dry fish, especially dry salmon. I officially stopped ordering salmon when I go out to eat because it's never right for me. But don't overcook your fish. The temp should be like about 145. And this is a very thin piece of fish, so it will not take long. Yes, guys, so thank you so much for joining. I will see you in the next video, live, or even my YouTube videos. I have cooking videos there. Please follow me on YouTube, TikTok, all the above, Chef Abyssinia. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.